Good evening. I'm Harry Keeling, and on behalf of the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation and Alaska Public Media, welcome to Hangar Flying. This evening, our guest is Mark Luiken. Mark was first on our show back in 2010 as the Deputy Commissioner of Aviation, Department of Transportation for the state of Alaska. A year later, he was on the show as the Department Commissioner. Now he's back once again as the Commissioner. Mark, it's an honor to have you back on the show.
Thank you, Harry. It's great to be back.
Mark, on a previous show, I highlighted your impressive Air Force flying and staff credentials, and I'd just like to take a minute to repeat those. U.S. Air Force Academy, T-37 instructor, A-10 F-15 Strike Eagle, 4 tours in Europe, Air Liaison Officer in Desert Storm, and your last assignment in the Air Force was as the Vice Commander at 11th Air Force at Elmendorf, where you got to fly the C-12. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. It's been 5 years already. I can't believe it's
Hard
been
to
that
believe,
long.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Earlier this year, you were brought in as the DOT Commissioner, and I know there are a lot of things going on. Maybe we could start with something that's on a lot of people's minds, the budget. Can you share some of the perspective from the DOT Commissioner's chair?
You bet. Yes, and thank you for that question. I think, we're still at the point where we don't have a final budget, and the challenge for our department is recognizing that we could have up to a $34 million cut in our operating budget, which really is mostly going to impact our service lines of business. So that is going to make some challenges for us, but I think the thing we recognize is especially for these communities where the airport, the runway is really their only form of transportation, we have to hold that harmless, and we have to continue to maintain those runways, those airports, so that we can continue to bring in, the supplies, the services that the folks in our smaller communities need.
So elaborate a little bit on maybe, I don't know if this is the worst case scenario where that you mentioned $34 million. What would that look? What's the worst case scenario? What it would look like out in the bush?
Well, I think worst case scenario is we're just not going to be able to get out to do some of the repairs that we typically do, at least at the using our state resources. We're still going to have contracts to keep the runways clear and those type of things, but we're just going to be limited in the frequency maybe that we have to provide some of the maintenance that we're typically able to do on a little more regular basis.
Okay. One of your big efforts out there is the Aviation System Plan. Can you tell our audience what it is and just a little bit about it?
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's actually something that was started in about 2010, 2011. It's been around several years already, and it's maturing each year as because we're out gathering information, and we're trying to put it in one central location, and so we've been doing that now for about 4 years. But it also allows us to set priorities for where our funding needs to go. We've been updating our airport layout plans on a systematic basis, and then we're also using that to help us set policy as we gather the data. And I think we have a website here where your viewers can look up and actually join this
it's on the screen
aviation
now.
System Plan. So yes, the Alaska Aviation System Plan is what it's known as, and there's the web address right there for folks to really go in and see what we've been doing.
Now, did you mention that people have to create an account or they have to log in, or is it just?
No, actually, that website doesn't require an account. You can go in, but you could potentially subscribe as well and actually get some more detailed information.
So would it be fair to call this a strategic plan?
I would say so, yes, because again, we have a pretty huge system, and it really is going to take a strategic level thought to and action and plan to continue to move this system forward.
Mark, we've got about a minute left. I want to get you back on because there's a couple other things I definitely want to talk to you about, and I think the audience would be interested in. So maybe any other things to wrap up the aviation system plan, and then we'll get you back on to talk a little bit more about some of your visions for Alaska.
Yeah. Well, I think again, the value of the system plan is it gives us the opportunity to really, prioritize the work, if you will, for the airports that have the greatest needs, and that's the other thing that we're using that for, is to identify the needs out there.
Great, thank you. Thanks for being on the program tonight. Look forward to having you on next time. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed tonight's program. In fact, I would ask you to go to our website, aasfonline.com, and let me know if you have any suggestions on the program we had tonight, or if you have any suggestions for future programs. I'd like to hear from you. And in the meantime, fly safe.